The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great. Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome in. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We are off and rolling. Justin Kidder with you here off the bench. We got Pearl, Jacob, and if you were missing Reed, thinking that I'm back and there's no more Reed, we got Reed, ladies and gentlemen. Reed, good morning. How are we?
Justin, when I decided I was going to be on this show, I thought about doing a bit where I was just going to act like I hated you the entire time. I was just going to be like, hey, Justin.
Yeah,
hey, Justin.
I missed that chair.
But then all of a sudden, I saw your smiling face, and I was like, you know what? It's a great day. It's a great day, and I'm just going to be happy. So thank you for having me on.
We're all happy. Pearl, we happy? You're back? Happy Monday?
Yes, happy Monday.
I say she's back every time. Like I keep waiting for her to say, this is weird, I'm out. But yes, glad that you're back.
Yes.
But how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Had a good little small vacay in Gatlinburg, so.
You do any hiking?
We got torrential downpour on while we were hiking, though.
Oh, no.
It was still good. And whoever has hiked Rainbow Falls, they definitely lied about the distance. Definitely not 2.2 whatever miles. We didn't even go all the way, and swear to God, we were hiking for like 5 miles.
Did you get lost?
No. We just kept going. We were passing people, and we were like, how much further? And they're like, oh, about another mile and a half. And we were like, what? And it just kept raining, so.
We didn't get mauled by a black bear, so I say that's a positive.
We saw a turkey. There was a turkey that just.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that.
There you go.
A little different than a bear.
I didn't think those
Although
came
those
out
still,
till November.
They still could chase you.
That is true. A turkey might be more vicious than a bear. Like a bear's a little timid. Like a turkey's like, it's gonna gobble its way towards you.
So with the bear, they tell you to be loud and kind of scare it off. Like, what do you do when I feel like if you do that with the turkey, you're just opening yourself up for it just to attack you.
Don't they normally travel like in packs though? There was only one.
You saw it? Did you see only one?
Well, I know, but I thought that was weird. Don't they normally?
You're the turkey expert.
I'm not. I thought they're normally like in flocks.
Listen, I'm not a turkey guy. I'm more of a ham guy. But when it comes to turkeys, I don't know how you respond. Maybe you just like act really presidential, so they think they're gonna get a pardon, like a Thanksgiving pardon. That's my bad joke of the day.
Thanksgiving pardon.
I mean, we've spent a lot of time on turkeys to open up the show. I'm craving Thanksgiving food all of a sudden.
You're welcome. This is when I come on the show. I don't know how much sports talk gets done, so we just go off the rails.
I actually enjoyed it a lot last week. It was
June.
Fun.
Yeah, the actually in there. She was really surprised that she enjoyed you.
I didn't mean it like that. I don't know. It was fun. It was just like loose. I don't know.
It's always a good time.
It's a good change up. You can't throw a change up every pitch.
Look, when Reed's in the host chair, it's a 6-segment show, and 2.5 of them are sports.
We normally just kind of just wing it and rock and roll, and then we get it going.
Headlines in after the 5th segment.
I think headlines was about 11:30.
Oh my God, Craig, I'm so sorry.
Craig was mad.
To be fair, I think headlines play a lot better in the second hour because that's like,
true.
well, you got to get comfortable. That's what you guys like to do. You get comfortable before the headlines, and that normally takes 1 segment. We like to get 4 segments in, then the show starts. Then that's when the show starts.
And to be fair, you can get away with this in June because it's June, and outside of talking about, I don't know if we've spent time on the Reds enough. Like, I don't know if you guys thought about this, but the Reds might be underachieving. I don't know. I don't know if
That's
you guys have thought about
rumor.
It's the word on the street.
That's the rumor. It is really weird where Reds fandom is from the periphery, and we'll get into it later, I'm sure. But like, man, it seems like it's at an all-time low when they're kind of meandering where they've been for a decade. So like, I don't like. It's just it feels more of the same, but it feels a lot worse.
If we go back and rank shirts that have been worn on the show, I love that shirt. That might be the number one shirt. I would get yelled at big time if I wore that shirt. I think I would just be accused of being what I've been since the beginning of the show. They're calling me an alcoholic and everything. But I love the shirt, by the way.
Yeah, I love me little. He hit a home run yesterday. Michael Bush hit a home run. I bought this last year. I still don't know if we gave up too much as Cubs, but you know what? I do love Michael Busch and I love Busch Light, so it's.
Michael is very small.
Very
in there.
small.
Okay,
There's
all right.
2 entendres
That's
on this
funny.
shirt. They call it a double entendre, so there's 2.
Entendre. I did forget to say, hey, Jacob, how are you? Good morning.
That's
Happy
all right. Who
Monday.
It's not.
Jacob, good morning. How are you? Happy Monday.
I'm good. You know, it is a happy Monday. Back in Stew. It's always good when we get to see Kinner in person. I texted him right as soon as he walked through the door. Made me happy to see his beautiful face.
No remote day. Some of those are coming this week though. But you know, we'll survive, I'm sure. Where's Elliot? No Elliot today. You're Elliot today.
You are Elliot today.
I am Elliot today. I thought I walked in 3 minutes before the show started. If I would have got here a little earlier, I thought about doing impersonating Elliot for an entire headlines, like doing some eye touches and just shout out whoever. He gives a shout out whenever a team loses. Thought about doing that, but I didn't have enough time. So I guess I'll try my best to be an Elliot. If you need a 45-minute Reds rant, I don't know if I have that in the tank, but I can try.
You know what we should do? We should go back and clip a few of those.
And just run them
randomly. Just run them.
Well, how about this? If
Filibuster.
we'll see how good of a producer Jake. We'll
Bad.
just take the audio of it. We'll just take an Elliot rant audio of it, and I'll just dub over it.
Okay.
It'll just be playing, and I'll just be.
Or a much better idea, we take an Elliot rant and we mute it, and you go.
Oh,
Oh, well.
we can do both and see
You
which
voice Elliot.
Right. We'll do both, and we'll see which one hits better. Sure, let's have fun today.
That'll play on IG Reels.
How was the memorial?
It was fun. The memorial's a great time. Got up there. I'm wearing pants like I usually do today, but if I wasn't, you would see my legs are about the color of your shirt. I mean, it's lobster red down there from about the end of the shorts to the ankle socks yesterday. I wore normal high socks today, and they're rubbing against the sunburn on the low calf, and it's real uncomfortable. So other than the sunburn, we're good. I was financially responsible last year and won a lot of money live betting the holes. This year, not the same
Not
luck.
good?
We really struggled, but it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Thank you, Kenner.
Did you get enough sleep?
No.
Me and Jacob were working an event down in the cradle of civilization, Danville, Kentucky, this
city
week.
of firsts.
Yeah, the city of first. It is the birthplace of Kentucky, whatever that is. And we got back at 2:30?
Right about.
2:50, something like that.
Right about.
Right around that. And he had a 45-minute trek home.
Sure did.
And then he had to get up at 8 in the morning
That's right.
to go up to Columbus for
Make that
the
first tee time.
golf tournament. So, you know what? I hope you got enough rest.
I did. I went to bed last night at 8:30.
Nice.
Woke up this morning at 8:30. It was great.
So last year when we were at the memorial, I didn't go walk. I didn't go hold a hole. I didn't go follow anything. Is it constant walking? Or did you just set up at a hole and just waited for everyone to come through?
We sat for a while we like the par threes a lot just because when they walk up, you can bet birdie or bogey and sit on the bleachers behind the green. That's always fun. And then there's a great spot on hole 14 for the memorial where they have a big running scoreboard that tells you all the distances and shots and everything for that hole. And we sat on that green for a while to watch the approach. But you usually find a spot and hunker down for a couple groups and then move to the next one and hunker down for a couple groups. If you get stuck in the back, you're in trouble. I think if you wanted to see Scotty finish on 18, you had to set up your chair right about when he teed off on 1. So you're locked in for a good 4 or 5 hours on 18 if you're trying to watch the finish. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great time. They do a really good job up there.
Not hanging out with Urban Meyer this year.
No luck.
Not like last year. All right. We'll step away for a few. We will not be doing Elliot's version of headlines, but we will be doing headlines in some capacity, just highlighting some of the top storylines coming out of the weekend. We'll be right back. More Off the Bench next. All right, and we are back off the bench. Justin Kinner, we have Pearl, Jacob, and Reed with you here today on a Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend, but we are off and rolling, kicking off the week. No Elliot today, so we don't know how to do headlines without Elliot. I mean, they're called Elliot's headlines. It's even in the sounder. I don't even know what to do. I feel lost at this point.
No, it's really a shame. I see that Elliot's headlines button here, and I can't press it.
You can't or won't?
I can't. Where is he? I can't press it.
Age-old question.
Wrong button.
Reads headlines.
I can do the whoo-hoo, like the whistle. Like that was my cheat.
Woohoo.
Can you whistle?
I sound kind of not like a whistle. It's more like if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, the Twister effect. I sound more like an old school movie tornado.
Sounds like some of those electric cars when they start right now, too. We were outside
Yeah.
yesterday at a bar, and I heard one start. I'm like, what is that noise? And it was some guy just sitting in his car.
It's
and
when
he
they
just
back
started-
up.
Yeah.
It's when they back up. It sounds like they're hovering.
It's like, yeah, sounds like a little UFO or something. I was like, I wasn't really sure what was going on. But, all right, I'll touch on some of the top sports headlines coming out of the weekend when we were talking about during the break. Right off the bat, according to Bob Nightingale, the ABS challenge system will likely be implemented in 2027 after getting positive feedback from the players coming out of spring training. At this point, anytime that baseball is experimenting with anything new in the minor league system, it's at some point most likely going to be used in Major League Baseball at some point. But thoughts on the ABS challenge system? And the second question I'll throw out, when was the last time that something like this was heavily used in the minor leagues and wasn't brought up? Like, we've seen the runner on second. We've seen a lot of these changes that all started. Pitch clock, everything. The ABS challenge system being used there as well. Pretty much, if it's being used there, it's going to be used at some point in Major League Baseball.
So MLB has stake in the Atlantic League, I think is what it's called, and it's an independent baseball league, not associated with any farm systems or anything like that. And they use this to toy with a lot of their rules. You asked the question, when was the last time that something they tried a rule down in the minor leagues? I believe the Atlantic League 1 year, like a decade ago, they flirted with being able to steal first. And what that was is they throw a pass ball, any ball gets by the catcher. At any point in time, the runner could take off to first base. And if he beats it there before the force out, they'd get the base, just as a way to,
Banana ball.
Yeah, no, it is literally a Savannah Bananas rule. It would make it interesting in the fact that, like, as a pitcher, then you can't just, like, spike balls when you're ahead in the count 0-2. Like, you got to be a little more conservative, which would put more balls in the zone, therefore adding more offense. And there's that old adage, you can't steal first. Well, you would be able to. Obviously, that didn't pan out, and they're like, this is pretty silly, so that one went away. But ABS, I'm super excited. The dumbest notion in sports history that I can think of is we like the human element. Oh, so you just want the game to be wrong? Like, I don't get that at all. The point of competition, the point of sport is to get the team that plays better to win more often than not. That's why we implement rules to change things so that the better team wins more often than not. And the fact that people were like, we want the umpires to be wrong sometimes, it makes it spicier or whatever. So silly. I cannot wait for the ABS. And it'll be interesting the first time because if you challenge an ABS, like if you argue with it, with the ump, you get tossed immediately. And I know there's going to be some batter at some point getting fired up over an ABS call, and they're just like, turns around and starts yelling at the ump, then just gone immediately. So that'll be fun.
It's like
I'm
the guys
excited
on Twitter
for this.
arguing with, what is it, Grok or whatever? Like, they
Yeah.
don't like, I see people getting mad at that all the time. And I'm like, it's just AI. That's
Taylor
all it
Watts
is.
of the Rays tapped his helmet over the weekend arguing a bad call from the ump and was immediately ejected because, obviously, without ABS, it works the other way. If you
Right.
tap your helmet, you get thrown out. And he screamed at the ump and said, I didn't tap my helmet. And they went back and showed the replay and just very clearly did. So I don't know what he was arguing.
Three
but
times.
Yeah,
I didn't tap
They threw
blank.
him out.
Yeah, I don't get that. But the automatic ball strike system, so it was used during spring training, obviously. I remember Terry Francona at one point bringing up the fact that he just told his players to ignore it because it's not going to be used in the regular season. I lied. He told the veterans, because the veterans have had no experience with it, obviously, but all the younger players who have used it in the minor league system, who had experience with it, said they can continue operating as is if they're familiar with it. But he told the veterans not to worry about it. We're not using it this season, so who cares? But it sounds like 2027 could be the earliest of which it is called up as far as that goes.
That feels like something as soon as they announced it, you knew it was happening. Like they were going to figure out how to make it work and iron out the kinks and get it up there. Because I feel like we've been talking about ABS for a long time now with Major League Baseball. And obviously it's worked well enough in the minors that they tried it in spring training. And the players seem to like it. It got good reviews from them. And it doesn't slow the game down at all, which I know was the main concern when it was being talked about a while ago. So the fact that they've got it pretty simple, I thought it was kind of crazy they didn't use it this year. I mean, I think the main holdup for next year is getting the stuff that's necessary for it in all the ballparks and having all that, ready to go to get those, replays pretty quick. But it's really good, and it'll help baseball. What does it do to the catching position?
So that's funny you asked that question. But before I get to that answer, I think it's interesting that fans, more than anyone, like fans normally push back against everything. Yeah. This one they seem pretty on board with.
I think we want it.
I think the great majority is tired of bad pitch calls, so they're just like, yeah, get it in there. If we have the technology, let's do it. They push back against every single rule. But
it seems like umpiring's gotten worse over the last few years, or maybe we just see it more with the scorecards on Twitter and the box on the broadcast and all that stuff. But
the K-Zone did the umpires no favors. Because, I mean, the K-Zone's only been around for like a decade. Like, it was not around, like, I don't even know the exact year which it came out, but like you watched as a kid, like, there was no K-Zone. As for the catchers, this is so interesting because right now catchers have so many roles on the team. They got to call pitches, or they used to have to call pitches. They had to, frame. They had to keep hold runners on, throw runners out. And now with PitchCom, a lot of pitchers call their pitches. And now with ABS, they don't need to frame. So are we going to start seeing catchers that don't have any of those traditional catcher's traits of, being able to call a good game and be able to frame some of these things that up until very recently you couldn't even quantify how good they were? It's kind of just a feel thing. Are we just going to start putting catchers back there that just have cannons? Like, you're just like, oh, you're a pretty good hitter and you got a really strong arm. We'll put you back there, sit on both knees, like don't wear out your legs, sit on one knee, and just throw the crap out of it to second base. And that's all you need to do. I guess you still need to block. Blocking's still a pretty big thing, but it'll be interesting to see what happens to the catching position.
And the other thing, too, you talked about the human element a little bit ago.
As a human element guy, I don't like when he describes it like that.
Oh, but it's like
just wanting it to be wrong.
But, like, the other thing, too, like the NBA, the NFL, and the NFL is implementing new technology, like especially for, like, first downs and stuff like that. Like, there are certain things that you need the human element for. Like the NBA, there's no way you could do any kind of automated foul calling. Like, I mean, you need officials for that. Football, the majority of that, you need officials for that. There's some stuff you can implement technology in. With baseball, this is something that technology could easily take care of for you, and obviously the accuracy of this is going to be significantly better than anyone holding on to the history of human element in regards to that. I used to be against it completely, but now I just want it right. I don't care, especially against my team.
Right.
Well, it's so funny. Like I always my take is progress is good and everything like that. People 30 years ago were complaining about instant replay being implemented to the NFL. Can you imagine watching a football game now without replay?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think. Even back then, they're like, we want the human element, call on the field. It's sometimes, even though there's replay, we shouldn't use it. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, we're just trying to figure out whether the game was good or not. So it'll be fine. I promise everyone, it'll be fine. It'll be better.
Last night, Major League Baseball saw the Yankees and the Dodgers play, and I was watching that for a little bit, and I just thought how unique that was. Yankees come away with the 7-3 win over the Dodgers. And we're talking about changes in Major League Baseball with the ABS system. One of the bigger changes that have happened recently in baseball was, of course, the fact that now every team plays every team. And I said, we could talk about the pitch clock. We could talk about a lot of things. I think that the most important or the biggest change that I think is the most beneficial to baseball is the fact that every team plays every team now, especially when you look at the big name stars across Major League Baseball. And of course, there's always stars in baseball, but I feel like we've seen an influx of superstar players in baseball, especially over the last couple of seasons. When you think about Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and basically the Dodgers roster at this point. And, obviously with Elly De La Cruz with the Cincinnati Reds, the fact that Elly De La Cruz is going to play in every ballpark every season, every other season, is going to play in front of every fan base every season, that's big. Aaron Judge will play in front of every fan base every season, whether it's at their ballpark or whether it's on regional, the regional channels on TV, whatever it is. That's big. But watching the Yankees and Dodgers last night, I went and looked this up. They've only played 96 total times. in the history of baseball, Yankees and Dodgers, for as long as baseball's been around, they've played 96 times. 71 of those 96 matchups have come in the World Series. So you take the World Series appearances and the matchups out, you have your two biggest brands in baseball that have only gone up against one another less than 20 times in the regular season over the history of the sport. That is absolutely wild. Now, you look at this, and it talks about the fact that, of course, interleague play started in 1997. Since then, the teams have met 22 times with a record of 11-11, splitting those since that time. But that's pretty dang wild to me that people don't talk enough about that change as much as what I love it is the fact that every team plays everybody. Baseball, you went that long without having the Dodgers and Yankees as an annual series. The Cubs and the Dodgers, the Cubs and the Yankees. Like that should, the Red Sox, you throw the matchups that we were failing to get every single season because of that tradition. I'm so glad that that's over. I love the fact that we get that matchup.
You see, I think I disagree a little. I don't need the teams to play everyone. Like, I like interleague play. Obviously, with 15 teams in each league, it's inevitable because there's always got to be one interleague play. But I liked it better when you would play a division team 18 times as opposed to where it's at now, and you only play a division team 12 times. And maybe that's just because I'm a Cubs fan here in Cincinnati, and I want to see the Cubs come to Cincinnati more often. Now they only come twice a summer. It is crazy how young interleague play is. I think one of the great stats that I like to throw out is Pete Rose, who played baseball for 27 years. I don't think he ever played the Milwaukee Brewers because they were in the American League at the time, like his entire career. So he never played the Milwaukee Brewers. That's always a fun stat. But it's undoubtedly good to have these major marquee franchises play, but I think there's a way that you can still do it and have interleague play, and you just play, one division every year, and then maybe you play 6 games against one division in the American League every year, as opposed to playing all the teams. Shout out to the Dodgers and Yankees. I don't think they played one game on a regional broadcast all week. I think they played Apple TV on Friday, they played Fox on Saturday, and they played Sunday Night Baseball last night. I don't think that's how marquee of a game it is. And it's undoubtedly good for the sport, so maybe I'm just complaining at nothing here.
I certainly like it. It's probably one of my favorite rule changes of this last bit, just because, when I did go to Reds games and, I get to see Aaron Judge come in June or July. That's always fun. And you get, obviously when the Cubs come to town, you get, 30, 40,000 people at that stadium. You don't get that a lot in Cincinnati. And when the Yankees or the Red Sox or one of these big American League teams come to town, you get another one of those, sellout series. And that's a lot of fun for the fans here and for Reds fans getting to see those other star players. I think it's really cool, and I think it's something that's going to help with the debate we had for a long time with Mike Trout when he was in his prime in the Angels. We don't market baseball stars, and they don't play to a level that you see a lot of these stars, and I think this certainly helps putting them in more ballparks. Football, they wear a mask in front of their face, and I still think you'd be able to recognize more football players on the street than baseball players. So putting them in every ballpark will certainly help with that.
Yeah. Do you like the fact that every team plays every team?
Yeah, I think I said this a few days ago. I don't know what we were talking about, but yeah, I agree with Reed. I don't know. I just think the fact that we play everybody, it just cheapens the whole thing of the World Series. Like, the beauty of it was you finally have the best of two leagues pitting against each other. So the fact that everybody plays everybody, it's I don't know. It's not as special. It's like if you start Christmas a lot earlier, it's not as special. It's more
like hell. I want those decorations in the stores beginning in August. All right.
I'm a Christmas music guy, November 1st. So.
I don't want Christmas in July. It just takes away from how special it is. You wait for it all year, and it's just one special thing instead of okay, well, we saw these guys then. It's not, I don't know, it's just, it takes away from it.
I'd be curious to know when baseball started to feel like one league, because the origin of the World Series was that there were 2 baseball leagues.
Exactly, yeah.
And you played to see who the superior league was.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that was the playoff format until 1968, but at some point it probably felt like it was all Major League Baseball, in the 40s. I'd be really curious, if there's a historian, they'd be like, it started to feel like one league.
The answer really should be universal DH.
Well, we felt like one league well before that.
Pretty distinct rules between the two different leagues.
No doubt. There's actually a funny story. I think it was 1904, the second World Series. So the first one happened in 1903, American League versus the National League. I think it was the New York Giants. Now the San Francisco Giants, refused to play in the World Series because they just thought they were better. Like, they won the National League, and they're just like, we're not playing. I forget who they played in the American League. They're just like, we're not playing. We are much better than them. Like, we don't need to prove that we're better than them. So the second World Series didn't happen until the third year of the World Series, if that makes sense, which is really, really interesting. Like, there was vitriol between the American League and National League. Not that way anymore. Everyone wants to talk about how do you make the All-Star game feel bigger? I mean, if you wanted to, the way is that this is the only time that the American League and National League teams played each other, which was how it was until 1997. They played each other at the All-Star game, and they played each other at the World Series. That was it. Since then, obviously, the All-Star game has decreased in popularity. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I just prefer more division games.
I agree.
We talked about it last week, and with the MVPs and Cy Youngs and stuff. I think it's dumb that they do them for the separate divisions, AL and NL MVP and Cy Young.
Only sport that does that.
You're the same league.
But they're not. See, that's
they are.
No, that's the point of Major League Baseball which is why they
the AFC and the NFC 2 different leagues. No,
but they're this is why, like, even like a couple of years ago, they included stats from the Negro League was because it was a major league and it's different leagues. Like, it's not like one organization. It is two leagues playing each other. Obviously that's gone away. Oh, come on. Two
worst
MVPs,
thing that happens in sports.
2 MVPs and 2 Cy Youngs is great.
it's nonsense.
It's great.
It's baseball wanting to be different, acting like it's still old times, and you're the same as the NBA, you're the same as the NFL. If you have one commissioner over 2 conferences, you're one league.
Oh, come on.
If the NL wants to get their own commissioner, AL
I think
get their own commissioner.
do the American League and National. I think they actually might have different commissioners.
What do they do? Manfred makes the rules for everyone.
I don't know, but I think they might. I don't know though.
Yeah, because you're not. That was what made baseball special. Was that was a unique thing that no other sport had, but also big WNBA fans that tune into this show. But look at the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark right now. Imagine if it was she only played. I don't even know what conference they're in. I'm assuming the East. I don't know how that works. But imagine
they're in the WNBA.
Yeah, imagine if she only played in half the arenas every single season.
She actually plays in almost
every
no
other
WNBA arenas.
It's all NBA arenas
Right.
because she sells those damn things out.
That's
But
right.
no, I'm at, like, when you have those superstars, you want to put them in front of your entire league fan base as much as you can. The fact that as Reds fans, we rarely ever got to see an Aaron Judge. I remember going to a game to see Justin Verlander pitch back in 2019 because I thought, well, this might be the last time we ever see him at Great American Ballpark because with the Astros, there's no way in hell we're going to see him again before he's still pitching, which is wild. But that's not the point. The point is I felt the urgency to go see him at that time because we may never see. I should be able to have a chance to see him every year, if not every other year, in some capacity. That's any star. I'm not putting Verlander up there with the likes of an Aaron Judge or a Shohei Ohtani, but still one of the best in the game.
Yeah, but doesn't that make it a little more special when you feel
Seeing
the need?
superstars is special. That's special to me.
There's a reason we celebrate Christmas one day a year. There's a reason. Like, if you lived in
Reds aren't
Florida,
making it to the World
if you
Series
lived
to
in
play the
Florida,
best
you
team
wouldn't
in
go to
the
the
AL.
beach as much. If you lived in Florida, you wouldn't go to the beach as much.
Yeah.
We're up here in the north. We go down to Florida. We're going down to the beach 6 straight days.
That's why the one time I get to see Aaron Judge a year is awesome.
But if you saw
the same
them
thing.
every 4 years, then it would be even more
Correct.
special if you
Every
went.
8 years because you have to go there in New York? No, that would stink.
Well, travel. I don't know.
It'd be 6. There's only 3 divisions.
My favorite thing about Jacob, he dunks on anybody and everybody. It just slammed dunk. It's like, that stinks. That's horrible. He said.
Not wanting to see great players in your sport, that seems like a crazy
My
take.
favorite thing about Jacob and the way that he argues is that even when he has like what would be deemed as a lose, like it feels like he's losing, he's somehow twisted into a positive.
I'll just change the argument.
Right? Yeah. It's like, I think a big one is I always give him crap about betting parlays, and I was like, this is the dumber way to bet. And he's just like, yeah, but it's more fun. And I was just like, all right, whatever. I lost.
That one, never mind.
I guess that could be the only way to tell if I not win an argument with Jacob, but if I make a good point.
If I slap wheels on the goalpost, you got to feel pretty good.
Oh, that means I have come pretty close a few times then. I got to go
For
back
sure.
and watch the tape. There's been a few times where you've done that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, okay. Well, at least you're admitting that. Like,
I got some good wiggle. I can change it around.
fair enough. We'll pick up with this when we come back more off the bench when we return. All right, and we are back off the bench. Having a talk during the break. I'm a horrible texter. I don't text back.
I think you're a great texter.
I'm horrible at responding to text. Elliot did not know how to get into the memorial until literally less than 24 hours before, and he was having a panic attack. This guy, he knew he was going to get the information at some point. Elliot thought I was going to leave him on an island and stranded. I mean, I see he was at a wedding over the weekend, and he's still at this wedding thinking about, Kenner has to give me this information. I don't text back right away. It's a flaw. I have my brain's moving in like 85 different directions. But I texted Reed over the weekend about the Wright State game, which we'll get into in a moment. He responded, haha. That wasn't your response.
Right.
I just ha-ha'd at your response, and then we move on. But he said he thought I was mad because I didn't respond. And I said at a certain point, someone has to stop going back and forth. There was nothing to respond to. I just thought it was a comment on my comment, and then off we go. I don't know how people are going to go navigate through life.
You gave me, I don't get anxious a whole lot. I had a small level of anxiousness. I was like, hopefully he doesn't think I'm being a jerk here, because the way I text you could be perceived, and I'm a sarcastic person, as being sarcastic, and you never responded. But that's what we got thumbs up for. The reaction when you text someone and I send you a thumbs up, that's it. That's me saying, I read your text. This is the end of the conversation, and that's all you need. So we're teaching you how to text here. I know you're a little older than us, Kenner. I'm not going to date you, but you're a little older. There's this thing called the internet now. It's great, and you can react to messages.
You want to know one time I get made fun of on this show a lot, but the day I brought paper notes in, oh my God. You would have thought I made a Jesus joke in church. People lost their mind. I got called every name. Now I usually get called every name in the book for a lot of reasons, but I've stopped bringing paper notes in. Everything's just now on a laptop to fit in with you young folk.
A good to-do list on a paper is great for me. Like if you type me out a to-do list, doesn't hit it. I need a to-do list so that when I finish whatever I was doing, it gets a cross out. That's all I need it for.
So thumbs up. You have to give the thumbs up. Pearl, is that how this works? Like as far as communication goes?
Sometimes it feels a little jerky if people like overuse it. It's just
So yeah, because I feel like it's as smart as like, okay, oh, all right.
Yeah, like sure, man.
Fantastic comment, dude. Well done. Like I feel like there's sarcasm.
Sure.
It is funny when you get into group chats, if you guys have big group chats, to how important some people's ha-has are.
Oh, my God.
Like some people ha-has, like if you get a ha-ha, you're like, heck, yes. Killed it, nailed it. Like from the work group chat.
With all due respect to our guy that usually sits in that chair, Elliot's ha-has mean nothing.
They are inflated.
Mean nothing.
They do.
He laughs at every text.
It's like money in post-World War I Germany. Like it's like you just like it's not even money at this point. I'll just use it. They were literally burning their cash to keep their houses warm. It was more to them as wood fire than it was as actual money. That's Elliot's ha-has. He ha-has everything.
I'd rather nobody respond to me rather than a pity ha-ha.
An empty ha-ha. You got to actually ha-ha a little.
But it is good if you have a bad joke.
100%.
Because it gets you on the board.
100%.
If you have a bad joke and it's just going out there and no one's responding, then you get one ha-ha. You can always count on one ha-ha from Elliot. From our work group chat, if you get a ha-ha from Trace, oh, baby. I mean, that's worth $1 million. That means you hit it out of the park.
If you get a response from Trace, I mean, that
is true.
Shout out Trace. Love you, Trace. Shout out to Trace.
That is true. Trace is, I don't know how you guys, there's some people that have like 100 unread text messages.
Me and him are the same. That's why I feel I could say that. So there
I
you go.
am not one of those people. I have no unread emails. I have no unread text messages. I might not respond, but it's getting read.
Read it, yeah.
It's getting read, which might be worse. But yeah, ha-has and likes.
There's a lot of blues in there
man.
of text that I don't
Oh, no.
respond to. Yeah, that's
all
a
right.
lot of blues.
There's a lot of people in Van Wert that just want to talk to you.
Oh, yeah. But, like, if someone says, hey, I saw this funny thing at Walmart, and then I'll look at my wife and be like, hey, Jacob texted me, he said he saw something funny at Walmart, and then we laugh, and then we just move on with our day. I didn't. So now I need to do the thumbs up or something. And I use LOL a lot. I could be like, hey, there was a death in my family. I won't be at work tomorrow. LOL. Like I put LOL at everything. I don't know why. I don't find everything funny. I just put LOL. I think that's my signal of keeping it loose. Like,
I
you
do
know?
too. Because I feel like somebody will think I'm like angry at them if I don't put LOL. Just make a little lighter of the situation.
All right, I think the chat's done with our texting conversation. I think they're done with this one.
Fair enough. All right. Jacob's Indiana Pacers punch their ticket to the
right.
NBA Finals over the weekend. Pacers close out the series with the Knicks over the weekend and are now NBA Finals bound. Dayton Flyers' Obi Toppin played a huge role in the closeout game, putting up 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the win over his former team. Pacers and Thunder, game 1 of the NBA Finals coming up on Thursday night, 8:30. I know we don't. Jacob cares about the Pacers, but no Ohio teams in it, obviously. But this matchup, not very big markets. It's not like the Yankees and the Dodgers we're talking about a little bit ago in baseball. It's Indiana and Oklahoma City at this point. How we excited about the NBA Finals? Do we give a rip about the NBA Finals? I know Jacob does.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. I think if you like basketball, you should probably be pretty excited for this. It's the number 1 defense in the league against the number 1 offense in the league. I think everyone just hates the jerseys that they're wearing. I mean, if it was the Lakers and the Celtics, these teams, numbers-wise, would be considered probably one of the best finals matchups of all time. They're the only 2 teams in the NBA since the All-Star break to win 50 games apiece. They've been the 2 oddest teams since January. Yeah, they've kind of been on a collision course now, especially after the Celtics lost Jason Tatum. It really wasn't a question about who was going to end up in the finals. It's Pacers and the Thunder. Thunder are massive favorites, minus about 700. The spread is 2.5. If Pacers can win 2 games, they'll cover that. So I'm thinking, they'll at least get 1, and I'm hoping they can get 2. I don't have a lot of faith that the Pacers keep it too close, but yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really fun finals. Halliburton, Shea, 2 young guards, 2 great cores. These teams should be around for a while. So hopefully, this will be an introduction for a lot of these, NBA fans that haven't watched a lot of Pacers or Thunder basketball to meet some of the next, faces of the league.
Ratings better be high. People bitch, moan, and complain about no parity. Well, there's parity galore. You got the Pacers. We could argue Halliburton whether he's a superstar or not, but big Halliburton fan here, so I'm not down on him, but I don't think a lot of the league views him that way for whatever reason. But I could really go for a super team or 2 in this finals right now. Now you could argue that the Thunder are a very, very young super team. I think my definition of a super team is mega stars on a roster that are established mega stars that have won rings and that are just, ring pilot, if that's what you want to call it. But I am curious, the ratings, if the ratings are really, really bad for this, you have a lot of fans that do nothing but scream about parity. Well, this is the ultimate parity finals right here. And if it doesn't lead to ratings, I could sure go for a super team or 2 next season, that's for sure.
Yeah, the NBA has done a really good job at, creating this parity in their rule implementation and kind of how they do the salary cap. And it'll be interesting. I think people they'll disagree with this, but people like the David versus Goliath thing. They like when a team has rattled off 2-3 championships in a row and then someone finally knocks them off. We live for that. That's just easy storytelling. So, we'll see. I think to ask if there's going to be great ratings, it seems like a far cry with Indianapolis and Oklahoma City in the championship because it just doesn't get the casual lay person
especially the fact that it's
invested.
The Thunder are so heavily favored.
Right.
That's another big piece of this too. It's 2 small markets and it's not supposed to be very competitive.
I don't think there's going to be good ratings, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. We know at the end of the day having great teams or not knowing who's going to win the championship is good for the playoffs. This has been the most exciting playoffs that the NBA has had in quite some time. And the reason is you weren't really sure what was going to happen. You always kind of knew OKC was going to be in it. You figured the Celtics were going to be in it. But, just 7 years ago, you knew who the finals teams were before the playoffs started. When it was the Warriors versus the Cavs every year, those 2 teams are going to play each other in the finals. So what's the point of playing the first or the second round of the tournament? You might see a competitive conference finals, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how well parity plays because right now there is no sport with greater parity than the NBA.
That's why we said the NCAA tournament for college basketball is the best postseason tournament out there because it gives you everything. You're going to get your Cinderella David versus Goliath upsets at the beginning of the tournament, but then it all shakes out, and you still end up getting your bigger programs meeting in the Final Four national championship game at the end. It gives everybody what they're wanting at some point, which is what makes that so fun. College baseball, as far as their tournament is concerned, I've watched it for years. I still don't even truly comprehend how the hell it works. Yesterday, Wright State gets a win over Vanderbilt, and I thought, they won the regional. Now they got to play tonight, and if they play last night and win, they got to beat Louisville again. Well, I guess today. Doesn't matter. They lost to Louisville last night. But Wright State had a very interesting weekend in college baseball. They had the most talked about loss of the weekend, and they had the most talked about win of the weekend. In fact, both of the most talked about loss and the most talked about win came against the same opponent, the number 1 team in the country in Vanderbilt. Wright State over the weekend had a 3-0 lead on Vanderbilt in their first matchup that they went against one another. 3-0 lead. They have a sophomore pitcher on the mound in Cam Allen. He threw just north of 70 pitches. He had a no-hitter into the 6th inning. You have a 3-0 lead, a no-hitter after the 6th inning. Your pitcher's rolling, or was he? We'll discuss in a second. And Alex Sogard, the head coach for Wright State, pulls his pitcher with a no-hitter going, only 70 pitches on this on the matchup, and a big lead over the number 1 team in the country. And Wright State would go on to lose 4-3. 4 runs given up in the final couple of innings. And instead of talking about knocking off the number 1 team in the country, you had their backs against the rope. You had their backs against the wall. You had everything rolling. That decision cost the team the game. Alex Sogard in the postgame was asked about this. Here's what he had to say. I actually like the response. I had texted Reed after that game and said, man, Sogard effed up. He screwed up. He pulled his pitcher. And now everyone has an opinion on this. Some people still believe that he messed up. But I heard that explanation. I don't know what else you're supposed to argue with him about. I don't think he made any bad points. I don't think anyone knows who Cam Allen is, the pitcher for Wright State. But I went back and looked, and he had not pitched more than 5 innings all season. It's not like that's the most pitches he has thrown all season. Yes, he had a no-hitter going. Yes, he was only sitting at about 70-plus pitches at that time. Yes, you're going up against the number 1 team in the country with a no-hitter going. But when you hear Sogard in the postgame bring up the fact that, hey, you talk about Cam Allen, the way he was throwing that ball, this is a team that plays in the SEC, the number 1 team in the country. They've faced Cam Allen stuff all season. It's not as if there's no way they're going to figure out how to hit this guy. And the way to kind of keep him on their toes is to bring somebody else in, who, by the way, Wright State's a very good program. They have very good pitchers in that, in that pitching room. Come in, different looks, different speeds, just something different to mix it up. I don't mind the move. I didn't mind the move. I got beat up a lot on social media for defending it over the weekend. People wanted Sogard's head on the chopping block. He followed it up with a win over Vandy the second time around, which we'll talk about in a moment. But do you have a problem, Reed, with pulling a pitcher with a no-hitter, 70-plus pitches against the number 1 team in the country in that Vanderbilt regional?
Listen, I don't know if I have a problem. Obviously, it didn't work out. The safe move as a head coach, as a manager, is to let the guy ride it out. That's the safe move, is to say, he's pitching well, we'll keep riding the hot hand. No one's going to question why I left this guy in there. He's got a low pitch count. He hasn't given up a hit. That's the safe move. The hard move is to have confidence in your guys behind him and pull him out. My dad, who's coached a lot of baseball, he told me something when I was young, and it always rings true, is when a guy's pitching well, when a guy's pitching very well, you don't give him a chance to lose you the game. You don't let him stay out there so long that all of a sudden what has been a masterful 6-7 innings, masterful 8 innings, turns into a loss because you rode him a little too long. Obviously, they didn't even give him a chance to get to that point, so maybe you give him a short leash out there to start the next inning, but you also then you start thinking, well, do we want to give a relief pitcher, if our plan is to go to a relief pitcher when there's a guy on anyways, don't even let them start rolling that ball down the hill. Let's start with a fresh inning. That I do not know, but it's I think he just went by to say, hey, Cam Allen's given us everything. Cam Allen has pitched higher than any expectation we've expected, and we're not going to let him lose the game. We have faith in the guys behind him. This is one of the best teams in the country, we're going to let Cam Allen go out of this game with his head held high, knowing that he gave us the absolute best. And Cam Allen's a competitor. I'm sure he was super upset when he got taken out of the game, but he did everything he could to put Wright State in a chance to win the game. Now you got to rely on the guys behind it, and they just didn't get it done. And anytime that you lose a game, there's going to be hindsight, and it just is unfortunate that it went out. So I guess in the long way I'm saying is I don't regret, or I don't look at Coach Sogard for pulling the guy early, because at the end of the day, he was just looking out for what's best of the team, and he made a decision. It turned out not to be the right one.
So correction, he had 2 games this season where he threw exactly 6 innings. He has not pitched, he's only a sophomore. There's not one game he has pitched more than 6 innings in, and already going third time through the order, already starting, velocity on his fastball starting to fade a little bit, obviously starting to walk batters. It was trying damage control before it even happened, is what it was, of course. But if the bullpen comes in and does what it's supposed to, we're not even talking, maybe slightly talking about it, but not a big deal. We don't talk about upsets in college baseball that much, but Wright State did pull off the upset in the second go-round, knocking out Vandy, who lost to Louisville the very next game and then lost last night in that elimination game. So a lot of hosting regional teams got ousted out of the SEC yesterday.
Yeah, it is. It's college baseball is a really cool thing. I think the tournament, you said it was confusing. I think it's just a 2-and-out. I think
it's double elimination, but
it's just a 2-and-out, and you get there. And then, there was we did the Nuxall Classic. You obviously were doing the pregame and postgame show. 3 out of those 4 teams were playing this weekend, and Xavier felt like they were snubbed. So that's pretty cool. Baseball here in Cincinnati or in Southwest Ohio is at all-time high. People wonder why Wright State's always so good at baseball. It's not very hard to understand. The reason they're good at baseball is because they take kids from Southwest Ohio that is very rich in baseball talent. They just pull kids from Dayton and Cincinnati, and they win a lot of games. So,
yep. Sean Murphy, I think the highest paid catcher in baseball, went to Centerville, played at Wright State, doing pretty well nonetheless. Pearl, would you have pulled him? 6 innings, no hitter, 70-plus pitches against the number 1 team in the country. Would you have pulled him?
Well, before the show, I didn't realize until you told me that he was originally a reliever or hadn't pitched that many innings, and then I said I would have just let him ride it out. But given, I don't know, I would say I would have let him start that next inning on a short
That's
leash.
fair.
Let him ride it out. Definitely short leash. But the fact that, they've come this far, obviously they should have, Sogard had confidence in his whole bullpen and everything. So definitely would have been safe. He probably made the right call at the time, for sure. I mean, you should have enough confidence in everybody who's coming behind another one. So,
either way, they pulled it off nonetheless. Jake, would you have pulled him as we wrap this up?
Probably not, because I know you said he had.
You're a let it ride guy.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched over 6 innings. On paper, you have 0 chance to beat Vanderbilt anyway, and he is throwing a no-hitter there. You got to think, you got to do some things you haven't done before in order to beat a team you haven't beat before. So, I would try to ride the hot hand, but obviously it worked out well enough that they were able to get a win against Vanderbilt.
I just laugh because not really you, but the analytically driven people were the most outraged by this.
Yeah.
But also the ones that hate when Terry Francona does stuff like that. If Terry, if you throw him back out there, the analytical people would have been happy for once. Terry Francona gets ripped for ignoring analytics more times than not and just going with his baseball gut. But either way. But speaking of the Reds, speaking of Terry Francona, speaking of Reed, Reed's in a good mood today. Because the Chicago Cubs just keep winning, and they just keep beating our Cincinnati Reds. And that's what we're going to talk about when we come back, because Reed's here, so we have to talk Cubs every single segment moving forward. We'll be right back. More Off the Bench next. All right, and we welcome you back off the bench. The NL Central standings as we sit here right now, the Chicago Cubs sitting pretty at the top, 37-22 with a 4-game lead over second place St. Louis. The Cardinals 4 games back, 33-26 on the season. And then, of course, the Brewers in third place, who are the Reds' opponent coming up later on tonight, which we'll talk about here shortly, 32-28 on the season, 5.5 back of the Cubs. And they are, of course, sitting in third. And then there's the Reds, 29-31, 2 games under 500, 8.5 games back of the Cubs in the NL Central right now, and are unfortunately coming off dropping 2 or 3 against the Cubs on the road. And the Reds just right now, you see it down at the bottom, the Reds are who they are. I mean, we're past, we're at this point of the season. They keep winning some series. They get you to scoot up in your chair and buy back in, and then you go up against the Cubs, and they kind of remind you why we don't believe in this team 100%. And the good news is after dropping 2 or 3 against the Chicago Cubs, you're going up against a team in the Brewers tonight that, well, you also have shown that you can't beat, especially in recent history. So we knew this month of June, could get pretty ugly for the Reds, and they're not getting it off to a good start, although they did take one of those games against the Cubs, and you felt like maybe they do, turn it around and get some nice big wins against Chicago. In Chicago, they couldn't get it done, dropping 2 or 3. And the Cubs, your Cubs, Reed, just keep winning.
Yeah, they do. They got the best record in the National League. No one wants to hear me talk about the Cubs too long, so I'll try not to. I think the biggest difference in this series between the Cubs and the Reds, all last week I heard about how the Reds played better than the Cubs in Cincinnati, and they only won 1 game. And I was like, okay, well that tells me that maybe the Cubs, because we've all played sports. Sometimes you play better than the other team, but they were the better team. Like they have more talent or more prestige or something like that, and they end up just beating you. And that's what it felt like the week prior. And then this week happens. Reds win game 1. It's a 0-0 ball game through the majority of the game, to the 7th, 8th inning in game 2. And then 2 terrible defensive plays happen, and you beat yourself. And then there's some more bad defensive plays on Sunday in the rubber match, and you beat yourself once again, and you're just going like, wow, what is this team? And I've mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I've mentioned it off screen. I don't know if I've ever seen Reds fans this down about a team that isn't terrible. Like in 2022, where they lost 100 games? Yep. They weren't even that down bad about that team because the team was just bad. Mm-hmm. And you knew they were bad, but you also were sold a bill of goods on there's something coming up. There's something on its way, and they're going to be good once it finally pans out. You got Ellie De La Cruz, you got all these young guys that are coming up, and it's going to be awesome once they get here, as good as the core was in the early 2010s, right around 2008, 2009 when all those guys started coming up. And here we are, we're looking at the team, and I think the reason fans are so down bad is because the dream they were sold, the bill of goods that they were sold, doesn't appear to be that. You're looking at this team, and there's not a whole. You're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You're not seeing what you were sold 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and it's not panning out well. And you're just going, well, then what is this team? Where are we as a franchise? And that's disheartening for a lot of people. You're seeing even the most positive Reds fans look at this team and go, I don't know what this team is, or I don't know where this team goes from here. Because the guys 3 years ago aren't getting better. These young guys you expect, and, development isn't linear. It's not just going up or going down. It's not linear. Sometimes you play better, sometimes you play worse, and you just kind of take it as it comes. But you look at, I think there was a prominent Reds account that said, look at all this core, who has gotten better over the last 3 years? And that is a troubling question, because who has gotten better over the last 3 years from this young core? Hunter Green? Ellie De La Cruz has played worse this year than he did last year. Matt McClain certainly hasn't gotten better. Who knows what CES is? Tyler Stevenson, maybe? Like, those are the two guys. It's Hunter Green and Tyler Stevenson. Even Alexis Diaz gets traded out for nothing. And you're just like, what is this team going forward? So I think it's just really interesting to see from the periphery, looking at this Reds franchise, looking at this Reds fan base, and seeing how down bad they are for a team that, for all intents and purposes, are playing as well as they have in the last decade. Like, the best Reds teams in the last 10 years are 2 games over 500. This team's, 2 games under? Like, we're not that far off from the best Reds team that they've had in a decade.
But I think that's
But the vibes are low.
Right, and that's why the vibes are low, is we thought we were done with the Reds of the last decade. We thought this core, hiring Terry Francona, doing all the stuff we've done over the last 2 and 3 years, going through 100 losses, calling up all these prospects, was to be done with the last 10 years of Reds.
Yeah.
And having the ceiling be 84 wins, that was supposed to be in the past. We were supposed to be getting better from that. And there's just zero optimism that this team can win 90 games and compete for a wild card or come close to competing with the Cubs for the NL Central. So I guess at this point we have to be wondering, what are we rooting for, right? Because I guess you're just hanging your hat on these guys are going to figure it out. Matt McClain's not going to hit 180 for the rest of his career.
That's the only option you have.
Right. And it's a tough place to be because I think we've seen now, obviously, they spent, a considerable amount of money on Jeimer Candelario, and that didn't work out. They spent a considerable amount of money on Nick Martinez this year with the qualifying offer, and he's pitched very well over the last few starts, but they are not going to go buy players that are going to change this lineup over the next offseason or two. This core has to be the catalyst of this team. And we say it every show when we talk about where the Reds are. I don't know what you can expect them to be if Ellie De La Cruz isn't a 7-WAR player, which is a crazy expectation to have to put on a 23-year-old shortstop. So it's just such a hard place for fans to be right now.
Yeah, like Ellie not having the numbers that he did last year should be the number one talking point, and not in like a horrible way. I just mean like that would be more of a point of emphasis if everyone around him was playing better, because then you could be saying, man, if he was playing like he did last year, how much better would this team be? But there's so many other concerns that it's like, and he's not playing poorly by any means. It's
no,
just,
he's playing fine.
Yeah, he's fine, but it's like that's not even up at the top of the priority list of concerns. You brought up a good point about who has gotten better, who has been, and I almost don't want to give him credit for Hunter Green and him getting, those were two of the highest prospects that they've ever gotten in regards to the draft and coming up through the system. The chances of them not getting better and not progressing were going to be pretty slim anyway, just based on their talent alone. But the developmental issue with those players, everyone else, has been a concern. But it is strange, though, because you look at the fact that you're right, Reed, they're only 2 games under 500. Jake, you brought up the expectations and how that's kind of limited how people get excited about even when this team's playing close to 500 baseball. But it all does go back to the word expectations, because look at the Rockies, who are 9-50 right now. The Pirates are 22-38. The Marlins 23-34. And yet here's the Cincinnati Reds at 29-31. All 3 of those last place teams would love to be where the Reds are at right now.
No doubt.
And I think the Reds fan base is more miserable than a Pirates fan. I think Pirates fans aren't as miserable as Reds fans. I don't think that Marlins fans are more miserable than Reds fans. And I don't think that the Rockies, with only 9 wins as we sit here in early June, I don't think their fan base is as miserable as the Reds, because I think all those fan bases did not expect their team to win or be competitive, or at least I know Skeens obviously with Pittsburgh gives them a little glimmer of hope, but the bottom line is I do think that it's the word expectations that I think makes the Reds fan base way more disappointed in their team than even that of the Rockies fan base, who they've only won 9 games as we sit here on June 2nd. And I think that's what it is. I see, when people do question the show and say, well, everyone's so negative all the time, I understand the positives. I try to look at the positives. Heck, I'm pulling for the positives because we need this team to be relevant all season. We need them to be good. We need them to be good so they can hand us off to the Bengals when we get there in the fall, right? Yeah. I'm tired of trying to find stuff to talk about in July because the Reds stopped playing in early June, and look where we're at right now, early June, and people are starting to panic. Bottom line is, it's the expectations. We expected this team to be better. They're not better. They're not playing the worst baseball in Major League Baseball, but I feel like our fan base is more miserable than any other fan base in baseball. The only other one I could probably compare it to, the Orioles. The Orioles
in a worse spot.
Orioles are the number one.
They were expected to win 90+ games. They were expected to be a World Series contender, and they already fired their manager not even 2 months into the season. So
Braves are in a bad spot too.
Who's a World Series contenders.
As you shouldn't.
But all 3 of those teams had expectations to win, and all of the fans were optimistic heading into the season. They all had their dreams crushed. I don't think there's one Rockies. I mean, you could say, well, I expected to be at 15 wins on June 2nd, and now we're sitting here at 9. I'm disappointed. I don't think that's the thing. So
let me ask this question to you then. Do you think that part of the reason that it feels so much worse, because they're 2 games under 500. This is about the best, like I keep saying, they're not far off from the best Reds team in the last decade in terms of just pure record. We talk about their record is not an indication of how good a team is. Is their record better than the team is?
Yes.
Like this, because it feels like you watch this team And they are so much worse than their record indicates. Scoring, they either score 7 or they score 0. How many games have they either scored 7 or 0 runs this year? It feels like this team is playing above their weight, which is crazy to think about. Like, it truly feels like that. Like, they are winning more games than the product that they're putting out there on the field. And we expect, when I say they're playing above their weight, like, we expect better from a bunch of players. Like, we know they have a better gear. They know they have a higher gear in terms of their play. But in terms of what they're playing right now, I think they're winning more games than how well they're playing, which is crazy to think about.
I would say by a pretty significant margin. I mean, we looked at the Reds' offense, what was this, 2 weeks ago? And they were top 10, if not top 10, top 15 in almost every stat. Obviously, that's changed a little bit now. But even when that was sitting there, no one in this city talked about this offense as being anything even close to above average.
Right.
And we were sitting with top 10 numbers because we scored 20 runs 3 times. Like, this team is not good. And the fact that they're around 500 is more of a testament to the teams we've played so far than what this team is, I think. And I think that's why a lot of the fear comes in with this team. And we've talked about it on this show. The schedule coming up after this Chicago series, it's brutal for about a month and a half. And I just hope that they don't, dig themselves in too deep of a hole where they're unwatchable at the end of July and August.
Again, we've spent a lot of time talking about the NL Central at one point, saying that the only chance that the Reds had at making the playoffs was to win the NL Central, and now the Cubs are a buzzsaw. And now we are turning our attention towards the wild card. The Reds 4.5 games back, sitting at 29-31. Right now you have the Giants, who are 33-26, holding on to that final wild card spot, tied, of course, with the Cardinals. That's frustrating too. I think there's just a lot of elements that are frustrating Reds fans. Is that, like, the Cardinals aren't supposed to be good. The Cubs were supposed to be good. I don't think we expected them to be this good. And there was just an opportunity where we all thought that this was the prime spot for this team to capitalize on a transition period for the Cubs, trying to, refigure them. The Cardinals not spending money in the offseason. The Brewers, losing good players, of course, but they developed pretty well. And then the Pirates are the Pirates. It was a prime opportunity to strike while the iron was hot, and they're letting everything pass them by as other teams are figuring it out quicker than the Reds. And then you look at this wild card, and it's like, that's your best hope. Are you better than the Phillies? No. You better than the Padres? No. You would think you're better than the Cardinals. You've beat the Giants in one of the series you've played. The wild card might be their only hope at this point, assuming that this team's good enough to remain in the race.
It's I think the Brewers, I'm interested to see where the Brewers and Cardinals go, because they're both propped up by long winning streaks. I think the Cardinals had a 9-game winning streak. The Brewers are currently on a 7-game win streak. So we'll let the games fall out. And maybe you need one of those to be a playoff team. At some point you need to go on a hot run. But I feel like they're propped up on a hot run. But yeah, you look at, I talked about this when I hosted last week. You look at this wild card race, and you are 4.5 games out from the last wild card spot. And in there's the Padres, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Brewers, the Diamondbacks, the Braves are around there, and then the Nationals. Besides the Nationals, do you think you're better than any of those teams? Like, I'm not trying to be the Cubs fan hating on the Reds here. I'm genuinely asking a question. Do you think the Reds are better than the Phillies? No. Do you think they're better than the Padres? No. Do you think they're better than the Giants? Probably not. Do you think they're better than the Brewers? Probably not. Do you think they're better than the Diamondbacks or the Braves? Probably not. Like, the only one that you for sure would say yes on is the Nationals, and are you 100% on that one? Like, it's a troubling place to be, I guess, is what I'm saying.
All right, off the bench, we'll continue talking about the Cincinnati Reds when we come back. The question about, we talked about Matt McClain and his struggles just a little bit ago, but at what point is this just a drought? At what point does the drought end and concerns need to take over 100%? We'll discuss when we come back. More off the bench next. All right, and we are back off the bench. Justin, Pearl, Jacob, and Reed with you here on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Off and rolling, the Reds dropped 2 or 3 against the Cubs over the weekend. They turned their attention towards the Milwaukee Brewers. But before we get to the Brewers, there's some other housekeeping items when it comes to the Reds that we have to touch on. Of course, the struggles from Matt McClain continue. And I think we've all voiced our opinion on this show multiple times regarding that ongoing situation. But Kirby and Trace both discussed this very topic on Chatterbox Reds coming out of the weekend. The question of, as the not progression, as the you look at Matt McClain's struggles throughout this entire season. We're 2 months in, and Terry Francona got criticism early because he was locked in at keeping him in that 2 spot. Finally budged a little bit and moved him down to the bottom third of the order to hopefully just shake it up, change the scenery, maybe make an impact there. But it hasn't made an impact. The struggles have continued. So what else do you do with Matt McClain? Is sending Matt McClain to AAA an option? Trace weighed in on Chatterbox Reds.
Has to be a precedent set, though, that you can't play at this level over this period of time and it be okay to don the Major League uniform. Matt McClain's not relevant right now. He's just not. He needs someone or something to change. You can't continue to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and expect it to change just because time passes. That's not how life works. Either you find something out, you become a little more aware of something, you learn, you get better, you practice, you do whatever you do, and then the next time that opportunity arises again, things might be different. I just don't think letting a kid continue to get beat over and over and over and over and over again and act like it's all good and well is good. Matt McClain, in my opinion, has not played that long or long enough for me to sit here and say, he's fine. The guy's a veteran. He'll figure it out. No problem. He's not that. And I'm not saying I don't believe in him. I'm openly saying it's not good for his development to continue to sit here and to...
And that was, again, Trace. The biggest takeaway I have from his breakdown of that was the one thing I could not agree with him any more than what he said was, he has not been around long enough. We have not seen him at his peak long enough for me to be truly convinced that that is who Matt McClain is. Now, with the bad that we've seen of Matt McClain, I don't think he's that bad either. The peak of Matt McClain, I want to believe that that's who he is and who he can be and even be better moving forward. But the question is he has not played long enough for me to look at the sample size of bad games and say that's who he is. But, and Jacob could back me up on this coming into the season, my concern was, well, everyone was like, we got Matt McClain back, we got Matt McClain back. I kept saying, I'm going to pump the brakes on completely buying into the Matt McClain thing until we see more of a sample size of improvement, or not just improvement, but of sustainability of him being able to be the guy he was, not last year, because he didn't play, 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago. And that was the concern I had coming into the season. I do not think he's as bad as what he has been this season. But I also never bought into him being as good as what he was his rookie season either, because I needed to see more. I needed to see more of it. The problem is the Reds, and Terry Francona especially, have given Matt McClain superstar treatment, where they've treated this as just a slump, a drought. And I don't know if he's good enough, and like Trey said, been around long enough for us to just say, well, he's going to be fine, he's going to figure it out. A smaller sample size of struggles. I remember when Ellie was really struggling in early April, I got destroyed for being critical of Ellie De La Cruz because I was like, hey, the guy's hitting like close to 200. This is Ellie De La Cruz. We need more, right? Everyone kept saying he's going to figure it out. He's going to figure it out. And he did. It all worked out just fine, right? But Matt McClain, is he going to figure it out? What do you do with Matt McClain? The only other option outside of moving him from the top third of the order to the bottom third, the next place to drop him to is potentially AAA. When any other guy struggles, they get optioned down. They get sent down. But the thing is, I get why people are frustrated, because I look at Matt McClain, I don't see a Will Benson. I don't see these other utility players that, okay, when they're struggling, okay, we can't DFA them, we don't want to cut them, we don't want to move on from them, we'll send them to AAA. Would sending Matt McClain to AAA be the worst thing in the world? Not only do I think it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, I think it's the best thing in the world at this point, because being stubborn and continuing to throw him out there at this point, 2 months into the season, just out of nowhere, assuming that he's going to figure it out, I think it's doing more damage than good at this point. And to Trace's point, at this point, you're messing with him mentally. I think you're doing more damage than anything by trying to be loyal to him and keeping him in that lineup every day if you're Terry Francona.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a great argument to keep him up anymore. I don't know what that argument would even be. He's inept at the plate. He's not playing great defense. He hasn't walked in 15 games. I mean, this is a guy that has no business being on a major league roster, and we've only seen him play well for less than half a season, just over half a season. So, yeah, like Trace just said, like you just said, there's no reason to give him the same treatment you'd give an Ellie De La Cruz or a Hunter Green or one of these guys we've seen be that dominant player time and time again. And we've tried to move him down in the order, and it didn't work, and he certainly can't hit second. So, yeah, I'd send him to AAA. And I don't think that's giving up on Matt McClain or punting on him as the everyday second baseman of this team when we are a competitor, hopefully at some point in the near future. But it's the only chance you have of getting him back to some sort of form, right? It worked for Will Benson 2 years ago. He came back up and he played much better after he went down to AAA for about a month. So hopefully the Reds can get something similar with Matt McClain. Send him down, have him hit well, and hopefully he can come back up and be a sustainable player for the Reds. But right now, walking him out there, having him hit 160 and play, meh defense is not good for anyone involved.
Pearl, what would you do with Matt McClain? Are you fine with trying to let him maybe potentially hit out of this, or does he need to be in AAA?
I don't think he's just going to randomly hit out of it. It's not a slump. It's been 2 months. He needs to go to AAA. It's development, not a slump. And I just think going game after game, getting deeper into the season with, by default, you have 1 out of 9 in your lineup. That's almost an automatic out when we already don't have a whole lot going for us, and that's already an automatic out pretty much. So that's costing us outs. That's costing us games. That's... something needs to be done.
Yeah, adding the DH was supposed to eliminate automatic outs in your lineup, and the Reds have
really
quite a few of those, so it's kind of wild. But yeah, Reed.
It's you got to ask yourself the question of, what are we trying to accomplish by sending Matt McClain down? And the answer is, more often when you send a guy down, it's to reestablish his confidence. That's what you're trying to do. You're going to go down to AAA. We're going to play worse pitching, and we're going to get you right, get your swing right, because we know how important confidence is in every sport, not just baseball, and we're going to get you right. Then you got to ask yourself, wouldn't it also hurt his confidence if he gets sent down? Because in his brain, he's a big league player. I'm a big league player. And it takes a shot to go, oh, man, I'm playing so poorly. I'm going to be sent down to AAA. I'm now a minor leaguer. And I know it's just temporary. So you've got to weigh, and I get what you guys are saying about how there's no purpose in him being on the major league roster because he's hurting the team. But we also know that if the Reds want to do anything, if the Reds want to be a good baseball team this year, if they want to make the postseason, if they want to have a good future, then Matt McClain's a big part of it. Matt McClain's got to work for this team to go forward. I look through it as from a Cubs fan lens, where the Cubs just did this with Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw was one of the preseason favorites to win the Rookie of the Year. He makes the opening day roster. He sucks for 3 weeks. Sucks. Terrible. They sent him down to AAA, gets his confidence back. He comes back up on May 19th, and he's batting .360 since he's come back up. So it does work sometimes. It's not that it doesn't work. You just got to ask yourself, what are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to get his confidence up? And then is it possible that sending him down to AAA is only going to hurt his confidence? It's only going to make it worse. But at some point also, you're not left with many options to where you just go, you can't keep playing, Matt. I'm sorry. We know you're a big part of this future, but the way you're playing right now, it's not working. We can't keep doing this. We got to try something. And I don't know. You just got to weigh your options and ask, what are we trying to accomplish?
Now, when you say you can't send him, or it'll be a tough thing. Isn't it a tough thing for a Will Benson or anyone to have to go down? What I fear that we're doing is we're putting McClain in a category that
he doesn't belong.
He hasn't
Correct.
earned yet. I agree with everything you're saying. If we were talking about Matt McClain as a 4-year proven all-star veteran player that is just off to a horrendous start, then by all means, yes, I'm with you 1,000,000%. But there is not enough of a longevity sample size of games for me to say, oh, there's no way you could send it. It's Matt McClain. There's no way he could be sent down. I mean, we've seen this from a lot of the Reds call-ups over the last couple of years where there's stretches of really hot baseball, and then we're questioning CDS at this point. We're questioning a lot of these guys at this point. I'm not putting McClain in that category yet, but, technically, statistically, he should be as far as that goes.
Well, that works also in the same case of if a dude's a 5-year veteran and you send him down to AAA, you're not really hurting his confidence because he already knows he's a big league player. The doubt that we have on Matt McClain, I'm sure is swimming through his mind as well.
But good.
Why do we care if he's hitting 175 if he's doubting himself? He should be doubting himself.
Like,
he's bad at baseball for the last 2 months.
I guess what
Encarnacion Strand, like those guys are doubting themselves too if they
and
get
that's
sent out.
good.
I understand all this. I'm just asking the question: what's the purpose of sending him down to AAA? You're trying to get his confidence.
What's the
up.
purpose of keeping him up?
That's a fair question, which is also like I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here of what are we trying to accomplish and what's the best course of action. What we're trying to accomplish is to get Matt McClain playing better baseball. How we think we do it is by him gaining confidence. All right. Where do we gain confidence at? Do we just keep throwing him out there saying we believe in him? Or do we go, we don't believe in you right now. You're going to have to get it right down in AAA, and then you're going to play worse pitching, and then you'll find your swing, and then we can bring you back up when the confidence is up. There's multiple roads to go down to, and he's not giving us a whole lot of options.
Right.
He's not giving the city of Cincinnati, the front office, Terry Francona, he's not giving them a whole lot of options going forward. I don't know where they go from here, but it is an incredibly tight rope. Like, you've really got to tiptoe across this thing, or you can risk losing a player forever.
In his last 15 games, he's hitting 157 with a 154 OBP.
It's not
he's
good.
Terrible.
Right, it's not good.
I think first and foremost, you're asking what should we do with Matt McClain? What's the goal with Matt McClain? I think first and foremost it should be who are the best 9 players to put out there for the Reds, because he's not one of them. So if he's going to sit on the bench for the Reds, then he should go down to the AAA and play.
Well, yeah, him sitting the bench isn't an option. It's
him
not
being in the lineup shouldn't be an option.
Okay, so that's because we understand where the Reds, if they're going to be good, Matt McClain has to be good.
Correct.
Behind Hunter Green and Ellie De La Cruz, he's number 3 on
I
needs to play
100%
well.
agree.
He's number 3 on needs to play well. So you're just at a point where you're just like, well, he's going to play every day. So I don't know. I was just playing devil's advocate here. I don't know where you go.
Stuck right now, waiting for Noelvi Marte to get back.
Yeah.
Because what do you do with second base?
Yeah.
You need Noelvi or Candelaria to be able to play third.
Yeah.
And then you can play Espinal at second. So they're kind of have their hands tied right now. He can hit 120, and they don't really have anything to do.
Which is maybe why Candelario's on his rehab stint.
Right.
His rehab stint, healing back from that injury that Candy had. He's got to rehab that bad boy.
It was a devastating injury.
Yeah, it was a bad one. He's got to rehab from it. He's got to get right.
These phantom injuries I heard are pretty contagious. I hope Matt McClain doesn't catch one. Or
Well,
maybe
we'll never forget Kevin Newman's gastritis on this show. Kevin Newman's gastritis was all time.
Yeah, that was bad.
If let's say you were struggling, Jacob, and the Reds came to you and said, all right, you get to pick your phantom injury. You get to write your own Reds release of why we are putting you on the IL. What would you pick? What would you pick?
I'd use some big words. All 3 words in my injury would be 3 syllables, and no one would know what the injury was or where it was in my body, so no one could track it.
A lot of Latin prefixes
in
those 3. I would say I had a devastating injury. So when I come back in 2 weeks,
I want to come back.
I look Tommy John.
Right, like it just like reads out Achilles tear. And then I come back in 2 weeks and I steal 3 bases. And I'm just like, heck yeah, I'm a ball player, baby.
But yeah, I don't know if you saw this. This is not the same situation. It's not a phantom injury, but you see Mookie Betts' injury from over.
I didn't know.
He stubbed his toe,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
just stubbed his toe.
Ooh, cry me
Like
over.
fake injuries, fake injuries are way cooler than sometimes these real injuries, like guys that fall in the shower.
That was Freddie Freeman,
Yeah.
the Dodger. What's going on with the Dodgers? A stubbed toe and falling in the
And
shower?
Dusty May choked on the salad.
That's
They
Cut
have-
his esophagus with lettuce.
They have 15 pitchers on the injured list.
Yeah. and we
How do they have 15 pitchers on the injured list and they are the team they are?
They have
It's
the
not
best record in the
fair.
National League.
It's not fair.
See, I often say that baseball has a way of even itself out. Maybe baseball signed a deal with karma, and they're just like, all right, if you're gonna spend $1 billion every offseason, your starting pitcher's gonna choke on lettuce. Your Hall of Fame first baseman's gonna fall in the shower, and I tell you what, Mookie Betts, he's gonna stub his toe and he's gonna miss a week.
But the graphic is just funny because Mookie Betts is day to day after stubbing his toe. That's a Reds injury if I've heard one. That's season ending if it's a Reds player.
Well, we know the X-rays would be inconclusive, so we actually wouldn't know for a few days.
The X-rays actually would come back, show nothing, and then 3 games after playing really good baseball, just all of a sudden on the 60-day IL because, oh yeah, we missed that broken bone in your foot, and now you're done for the season. Like, I don't know. No blister, though.
No blister.
It's not like a blister. All right, off the bench, Justin, Pearl, Jacob, and Reed with you here. 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. I guess we could have put out a poll. I am curious where people stand with the Matt McClain thing as well. There's no boo, like at home games. I haven't paid attention. When he gets out, are there boos at the ballpark? Are fans turning on Matt McClain? Like, I don't know. We'll pick up with this other Red stuff to close out the show here today. We'll be right back. More Off the Bench when we come back. All right, and we are back off the bench. Happy Monday, everybody. We're wrapping things up here today on a Monday. We just put the poll up. Jake put that in the chat for those who are tuning in. Give the show a like. Give the stream a like, please. We appreciate that. And also take part in the poll that is there. Talked about Matt McClain and his ongoing struggles. At the beginning, it's just month one, month and a half, not deep enough into the season to freak out, but we're past Memorial Day at this point, and that's usually when people start technically paying attention to the standings. And I guess that's like the NBA's version of Christmas Day. That's when you could start paying attention to baseball and actually start putting, a little bit of belief in what you're seeing, whether it be good or bad. And there's been a lot of bad of Matt McClain at this point. Remember, he coming off that injury. He missed all of last season. That's the other weird thing, too. Like, he didn't. Remember, he started out hot. He had like 3 home runs or two or three home runs in the first week of the season, and we're like, oh, he's back, baby.
Extend him
back. Then that's the other thing we hadn't talked about. So the poll is, should the Reds send Matt McClain to AAA, who has not even remotely looked close to that since going on the IL early? Did come back relatively soon. Too soon, who knows? I would not be surprised, by the way, at some point, to not just the phantom injury, but to hear that he's been battling something since he returned 2 months ago. That'll also irritate the hell out of me, because that's also classic Reds as far as that goes. But I would love to know. I don't know who it was on Twitter or X or whatever that had said, I really want to know what the contract details were. What was the offer? What was the extension that the Reds had put in front of him that he declined? Because, 2 months in, there's doubt with him. There's doubt from the Reds. The Reds may have dodged a bullet. I don't know. But man, oh man, did the Reds dodge a bullet? If this is who Matt McClain is, I'm really curious to see what that contract was that they put in front of him early on.
Yeah, talk about a tale of two cities. The exact same time that Matt McClain turned down a contract extension, Pete Crow Armstrong turned down a contract extension.
Who's that? I have no clue who that is.
And it's just hilarious that how wildly those two ways went. I bet you Matt McClain's kicking himself. Maybe not. I mean, if Matt McClain comes back next year and has a 30 home runs, is back to 2023 Matt McClain, then it's all in the past. But man, it's interesting.
Am I crazy for saying call him again?
Ask him.
Call Matt now. Send him down to AAA.
I don't think that's crazy.
Send him down to AAA and be like, hey, by the way.
Me and you have buried him the most on this show today.
Yeah.
We're both like,
while you're in your head thinking about whether or not you're a Major League Baseball player,
you're right.
How's $10 million a year for the next 8 years sound?
He'll be making more than Hunter Green, and he's actually good. So I don't know, but that is funny. Yes, I'd revisit it. Buy the stock while it's low. As far as that goes, we'll revisit the results of that poll coming up here in a moment.
It would take something crazy to swing these results. We're at 90-10. Yes, send them down.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So the fans aren't as patient as what the organization is being, and even like the media has been very patient with me. Are you guys surprised at that? The media has been very patient with McClain.
No, because I think they fall in what Reed's camp is saying. You can't turn on him or Ellie or Hunter. Like, there's a group of them that you can't put out negative stuff around, because when they are good in 2 or 3 years, what do people do? If you have all these articles from 2024 about how bad Matt McClain is. So I think they're trying to, have some balance there and not tear down a guy that, as we've all said on this show, has to be good in order for the Reds to be good. But right now he's not, and they shouldn't be talking about it more.
It's also a new thing because, and I know he's played bad for 7-8 weeks now, but it didn't start like coming into your brain at this is a problem till 2 weeks ago. Like, it was always like Matt McClain's not playing well, but you always were like, he'll figure it out. Yeah. There was a ton of different other problems to talk about for the first 8 weeks of this season. Like, what's going on with Candy? What's going on with the CES? What's going on with Alexis Diaz? Whatever it is, those were bigger problems back then, and you just kind of always wondered, you just always thought, Matt McClain, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He had that great first week. He's slow right now. He was hurt last year. He'll figure it out. Now, it's persisted for this long to where you're like, okay, how big of a problem is this? Because 2 weeks ago was, do we have a problem? Now it's, we have a problem. What do we do about it?
I think it's been a problem for longer than that. I mean, since he got hurt and came back, he's been bad. He's been bad since he got hurt and didn't.
But you always figured he'd figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you danced around the question of what's going to happen with Matt McClain. He's not playing well. But it was always kind of like we got to talk about this in the future. The future's here.
I mean, I think we wanted him out of the 2 pretty quickly, and we had that debate for a long time. And I think if we would have moved that timeline up and taken him out of the 2 and down to the bottom half of the lineup before Francona actually made that move, then we would have moved that timeline up. Because once he doesn't work in the bottom of the lineup, then you have nowhere else to move him, and you have to send him down. So I do think it's more the timeline's been extended by Francona's unwillingness to change the lineup more than anything.
All right. Again, those poll results are pretty evident that everyone thinks he needs to be sent down.
87-13 now. We got some support for Matt.
Brewers series, do you think does he have to perform in this series to keep from being sent down?
No. I don't think so. I would like him to, but I don't think Matt McClain has as short of a leash as we want him to have. Yeah. I just refuse to believe that.
It's getting closer to what we just talked about 5 minutes ago, where it is getting closer to where you have no other option. And maybe I think it's already there for fans, but the organization's still like, well, let's play it out a little longer. But if he continues to struggle, they'll have no option.
I guess the question I have and I know that's more McClain has to be good, but with who you're playing at second, why have we just kind of, as Reds media, Reds fans, just wiped Gavin Lux from our mind as a second baseman? He played second base exclusively for the Dodgers last year. He played one outfield inning before this year. And they were talking about Matt McClain, and they were like, who's going to play second base? Just play Gavin Lux at second. It's the position he plays.
Right.
I don't understand why they won't move him off left field.
Imagine what happens if you put people in their comfortable position of playing, just how that might allow them to play more free and loose everywhere else. But who knows? Here's the deal. Matt McClain, does he have to play well this series to keep from being sent down? Who knows? But I do know the importance of not just this Brewers series, but every series coming up. This is the gauntlet that we were talking about. Yeah. It's officially started. It already started over the weekend when it started with that series with the Cubs. Now, technically, 2 series ago, after that Pirates series, it was smooth sailing, or it was rough sailing from there because you had to play, of course, the Cubs 6 times in 9 games. They ended up taking 2 or 3 against Kansas City. The bats came alive, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, pitching wasn't as dominant, but you're getting a lot of run support that could balance out. Felt pretty good, but you head into that Cubs series, you get a 6-2 win. It's like, okay, there we go. We have something to work. And then the final 2 games, you lose. But here's what's coming up. 3 against Milwaukee at Great American Ballpark. Brady Singer going to be on the mound tonight. We'll get to see Hunter Green tomorrow with Andrew Abbott pitching Game 3 to close out that series. Nick Lodolo will pitch Game 1 against Arizona. And the Diamondbacks coming up also at Great American Ballpark. They'll have 3 with the Diamondbacks. And then 3 at Cleveland, 3 at Detroit, and you got Minnesota. Then you're at the Cardinals starting on June 20th. Then you got the Yankees. Then you got the Padres. Then you got the Red Sox. Then you got the Phillies. But good news is on July 7th, you do start a very easy winnable series with the Marlins.
There we go. Take your guess, Kenner. Of those series, obviously the Reds' record's going to get really, really, really bad at some point. Where does the ballpark become empty? Yeah. But I feel like we're close. There's a lot of giving up in the city right now on the whole red
Weather's
legs.
still
This
favorable.
stretch is going to be bad.
I always think it's like when you get to July, when that heat really picks up, it's like the team's not great, but it's beautiful weather. I can go sit at a ballpark right now. But when it's hot as hell, I'm not going to be miserable watching a miserable team.
Right.
I could watch a great product on the field and be miserable in the stands, but the team has to be good enough for me to go sit in that sweltering, humid summer heat. Pearl, what about you?
Oh, no, I agree for sure. It's just not going to be worth it to pay money and sit in the hot heat. I think probably just before the All-Star break. We'll definitely see.
Don't even get to the break?
Okay.
Get me to the break. At least get me to the break.
We'll see. It just depends on the record, but, it's not looking great right now.
Can I get a spin zone sound, or can someone create a spin zone sound?
Elliot's our guy for that stuff, too.
I don't know.
Pearl's got it. It's spin zone. What if they play really well? What if they play really well?
Do you have a laughter soundtrack?
No, I'm just saying that. Like
okay.
this, when you start
What if they
getting
win 12 in a row, Reed?
if you start getting a bad situation, all you can look for is opportunities. All you can it's appearing that the Reds aren't up to snuff. All you want is opportunities to prove otherwise. And this is 5-6 weeks of opportunities to prove that you're a good baseball team. So what if they start playing well?
What if
they start playing well?
They prove that they're a really bad baseball team?
There we go. That's that negativity we all come to love.
This is the spin zone. Can you not take my spin zone away?
I'm unspinning it.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
straightening
just
it out.
saying, like, what if they play well? That's an honest
nice.
question. That's an honest
it'd be
question.
nice.
What if they rattle off 3 straight series wins against really good teams?
There would be no stretch where they play well would mean more to this fan base than this stretch.
Yeah. Also, we're probably on the cusp of getting a lot of people back, right? Because
Noelby was ahead of schedule last
CES
week.
was batting 400 on his rehab stint over
There you go.
So, and then Marte, and then Candelario's starting a rehab stint. Not the Mariners, but I mean, we're about to get some players back, so it is quite possible. It really just depends on what team shows up and how consistent they can be, and if the pieces can click, because most times we can't get everything to click at the same time.
We talk about how bad this offense is and how little faith we have in everyone in this lineup. Most importantly, our 2-hole hitter, everyday third baseman, Santiago Espinal. Before he got hurt, Marte looked like 2 years ago Marte.
Yes,
like,
yes.
He was playing
Played really
at
well.
the level
Played
of a
really
prospect
well.
that we were excited about when we saw him in 2023. So hopefully, we can get some guys back and Candy can get hurt again on his way up and we'll be good.
It's also like you're looking at this lineup, and outside of the guys that you brought in, outside of the guys that are new to the team this year, Gavin Lux, Austin Hayes, all the mainstays that have been here are not playing to the level that you would expect them to.
Right.
Something's got to give. There's more in the tank for Ellie De La Cruz. There's more in the tank for Spencer Steer. There's more in the tank for Jeimer Candelario when he comes back. There's more in the tank for a lot of these pieces. TJ Friedel's playing very well, so don't let me put TJ Friedel in that camp. There's more in the tank for Jake Fraley. Like, there's more on this lineup. You can get a lot more juice out of this squeeze. So what happens if they start playing well in June?
What
happens if the question I asked 45 minutes ago, who in this wild card race that the Reds are currently 4.5 games out, that we looked at the rosters and said, I don't think we're better than any of this team. What happens when you start beating those teams in series? What happens when you start playing head-to-head? And you ask the question, when does the stadium get empty? When does it get full?
Never, because Castellini bought the team in 08 and has been full since. He wrote that letter of, crap to all the fans that they were going to build a competitor. I'm starting to look at, the 7, 8 guys in this team that we keep saying are underperforming. Are they? Or is this what they are? Spencer Steer's been a below-average hitter for 2.5 years now. It doesn't seem like he's drastically underperforming. Tyler Stevenson, pretty much where he's been for a while now that he's gotten hot over the last few games. So I don't know how much faith I have in these guys bouncing back. I just really don't.
I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to be the glass half full
You're the optimistic Reds fan.
I am. And I'm also the most trusted voice on the Cincinnati Reds. Everyone knows that about me.
He's fine. He's also saying this too because the Reds and Cubs don't play again until the second half of the season.
Which is why the new schedule sucks, by the way. Why the new
I hate
schedule?
playing the Yankees. I hate playing the Red Sox. I hate seeing Aaron Judge. I hate seeing Stars.
I'm not.
I want more Pirates,
We want
baby.
divisional play.
I
I want
see more of the
divisional
Pirates.
play.
Yeah.
Rivalry games mean more.
You get 12 of them.
I want 18. I want the Cubbies to come to town 3 times. And you know who else wants the Cubbies to come to town 3 times? The Castellinis, because we pack out that ballpark.
That's true.
You do. How about you just root for the team in the town you grew up in? You'd be all right.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I didn't grow up.
I
in
do.
this.
I root for the Bengals. I root for the Bengals. I root for the Xavier Musketeers. I root for the Florence Y'alls.
Things would be if they did catch
Down
fire.
Stars.
If
They're
they
not hockey team.
there is a window where they could take momentum into the All-Star break, and it's those final. I mean, look, their final 7 games, 4 at the Marlins, and then the Rockies for 3.
Remember their final 7 games before the All-Star break last year when they also had a chance to turn it around
Yeah.
and come out great, and then they lost
The
to
more
the
things
Nationals.
change,
Yeah.
the more they stay the same. But we're being optimistic.
Nothing's ever changed.
Are you with us tomorrow?
Sure.
Let's challenge. Let's see
Challenge.
positive the entire show.
I can do that.
Positivity.
I can do that.
Positivity.
That's the worst.
I just tried to spin zone it, and it lasted 2 minutes before it went right back.
Fake positivity is worse than fake negativity.
This isn't fake.
I like the positivity, Reed.
I think. Listen, I'm not being facetious. Do you think Spencer Steer's a better hitter than he's currently showing right now? Answer that question honestly.
Yes.
I think he is too.
Yes.
I think he is
I
too.
want an update on that shoulder injury. What the hell's happening with it? Did it just get better?
Do we think Matt McClain's a better baseball player than he's currently playing right now?
You'd like to hope.
I hope.
Yes. Do we think Ellie De La Cruz is a better baseball player than he's playing right now? I do.
Yes.
I
Career
do.
highs, I don't know.
Do I think Jake Fraley actually is probably on par with where I think Jake Fraley is? that was about. I think
TJ
Jeimer Candelario has way more to give than he's currently
I think
giving.
TJ Friedel's significantly worse than he is right now.
Okay, well that's one going the other way. That's one going the other way. So I think there's.
Jake hates. I don't know I don't know how old Friedel is. That he's still a girlfriend of yours growing up. I remember being high on Friedel to start the season, and I thought Jake was going to come punch me. He's been anti-Friedel from the very beginning.
He's 31. If he's going to hit 300, trade him. Right?
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just asking the question. What we think that there's more. I think there's more for even Tyler Stevenson, who's hitting well over the last week and a half. Like I think there's more for Tyler Stevenson. I think there's more for CES when he comes up. Like I think there's more here. And I think this team can play better. We haven't seen the best this team is going to play yet. And if you want something to be excited about, it's that. Maybe it's too late. Maybe the rest of the league, the rest of the division is playing too well for this team, even if they're playing at the peak of their powers to make the postseason. But if you want something to be excited about, it's that you haven't seen this Cincinnati Reds team play the best that they will play this year. And they've got 5 weeks against the best teams in baseball where they're playing good team after good team, division opponent after division opponent, and you'll see what this team can do. And they've got a beautiful opportunity to, just when people are selling them, just when people are going to get out on them, they have an opportunity to say, we are better than you think we are. So, I don't know.
How many years away?
From?
How many years away are Reds fans?
From?
Oh. We were 2 years away in 2023. I don't know. We were away from there. We're 2 years now, so we made it. How many years now?
30?
Nice. We'll catch those Cubbies. We'll get to 108.
I mean it, though.
Reds and Brewers game 1 coming up later on tonight. Brandon
Elliot's not
Singer
here, so I get to guess it.
on the mound. Oh yes,
I don't
we
have to
wrap
rock,
it
paper,
up.
scissors.
Pearl, Reds scored tonight,
Oh, don't steal it from me. That'd be mean.
but she does
Don't
get.
know
You get
what
to
you're
pick
gonna
any
say.
score.
Yes,
you get
you
to pick
do.
any score you want. Don't feel the pressure.
You're gonna dog on the Reds.
I think you're fine, Jake. She's all positive over here. You're
I
good.
try to be positive. I mean, God, there's bad juju in here.
You and me
Chat,
both,
is that
Pearl.
you?
We'll
How
be the
many burgers
positive
you have?
Reds guys.
All right, I love Michael Bush.
I really want to say the Reds are gonna win, but the Milwaukee's on a 7-game winning streak.
That means they're due for a loss.
Okay. Who's pitching? Singer?
Yep. Runs will be given up.
And
Will-
scored?
Will runs be scored? It is game 1.
5-3. Reds.
There we go.
There we go.
1-0 Brewers.
What made you think that?
Because that's the most common score of Reds games. So it'd be dumb not to guess it.
They either score 0 or they score
or
7. 7 on the dot.
On the dot, 0
So
or 7.
I'm taking 7-4, a 7th inning, 5-run 7th inning from the Reds.
I
They
think
win
that-
7-4.
We don't score late though. When we score, it's early.
They're 0-24 is done?
They're due.
Wow.
They're due.
It's been all season.
Wow.
He's a play the numbers guy. There you go.
I
I like it.
absolutely
Let it-
right. We know that this Reds team cannot win a series unless they win game 1 and 2, and they're doing it.
That's right. Yeah, I was with Reed this weekend watching the Cubs series, and as soon as the Cubs won game 2, I said, congrats. Series streak stays alive. He goes, no, we play tomorrow. I said, come on.
You're good.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Brutal. Either way, I'll say 6-4 Reds.
I like it.
Ooh, okay.
6-4 Reds. Runs will be given up. Runs will be scored. And then they will not score more than 6 runs the next 2 games combined because that's usually
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
That's usually how it goes.
Six runs in a win in game 1 under 12 for the series. Can you parlay that?
Oh, look. By the way, you see my girl Angel Reese, they have a do you see that those fans on social media that they place a bet on her missing the first shot every
Yep,
time and then
yep.
they go, I think it's like 7 straight games now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we start
You
one.
parlay it with her to get the
I'm
offensive
You
rebounds,
calling,
guys.
I've seen this, but you calling those people fans is a stretch.
Those are the fans I strive to
Those
be
are the
right there.
better. Those are the best.
Those
are the best ones.
That's a stretch
Those are the best
to
of the
call
best.
them fans.
Because watch our sport, but you have to watch our sport this way.
Right.
Nope. I like those. I like it like that. But all right, off the bench. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. Happy Monday, everybody. We'll do it again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, off the bench on 1410 ESPN Radio and Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. All right, and we are back, closing it out on the streaming side over on YouTube. You a video game guy, Reed?
Used to be. I love video games, but with life and you just get older and have more responsibilities, it's hard to wedge out time to play video games. I truly used to love video games, but I just don't play them much anymore. Like, I haven't played a video game in a year.
Video games? Pearl, you a video game person?
Negative.
Negative. What about you, Jacob? You're big on video games, aren't
Yeah.
you? And it's been a
Yeah,
good
I
week
am.
for video game fans.
I like Reed. It makes me uncomfortable every time. Like, I think I'm a man of a lot of nuance, and Reed just continues to take guesses of exactly everything about me. We were walking around today, earlier this week, and he was like, "Yeah, you only play sports games, right? Like nothing else." And he just hit that nail right on the head. He's right. And yeah, all the NFL and college football, both the covers came out today, or college football last week, but the NFL cover today. Saquon Barkley, backwards hurdle. I'm kind of woke on this play. I don't think it actually happened. It's all AI because no running back can actually do that.
But it doesn't look backwards. He looks like he's playing leapfrog.
And they put it forwards. If you're going to put a backwards hurdle on the cover, put it backwards.
Yeah, that looks dumb. That just looks like he's playing leapfrog. I don't. But I forgot that was a
terrible.
backwards hurdle. I forgot
It's
that was a backwards
terrible.
play. Yeah.
And shout out the Jaguars for getting on there. Had to make that helmet all black because you can't put an NFL team logo in a negative sense on a cover. So
Is that
that's
what
good.
they did?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's a good rule there. But yeah, Saquon on the cover. I hate that they've started to use in-game pictures. Hate that they've started to use in-game pictures. I loved the photo shoots. I loved the graphics that they put around, around the cover shoots and everything like that. I remember the Lamar one in 2020 was great, and I just hate what they're doing now with these in-stadium shots. I think it's taking away a lot of the glitz and glam of being a cover athlete. You're taking a picture from in a game and slapping it on the cover. So I think it's a shame, but Saquon on the cover probably deserved it. 2,000-yard Super Bowl champ. Seems like an easy decision.
If Jamar Chase had done something crazy like that and he's on the cover, are you mad that it's a picture?
I'm not mad about Saquon being on the cover.
No, I just mean using the picture.
Would have
What do
done
you like?
a
What-
photo shoot with him like they used to
like
for
what
the
they're
actual
doing for college right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and the college one. This is I mean obviously made for me specifically.
This is like the Jacob package right
made
here.
for Jacob. But this cover in this photo shoot is one of my favorite things they've ever done. They had the deluxe cover as well with a bunch of legends from college football. You have a bunch of coaches in there. Tim Tebow, Reggie Bush, Kirby Smart, Marcus Freeman, Dan Lanning, Ryan Day, freshman, Dylan Sampson in the corner there. Yeah, it's a really, really good cover in the deluxe edition, getting all the teams in there. And then the regular edition, Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, both the sophomore receivers. So I think it's another year of them doing a really good job on the cover. Last year, obviously got a lot of excitement when it came out, being the first time it's been back in over a decade, but they swung and missed on that cover pretty bad. Donovan Edwards, undrafted, absolutely terrible running back at Michigan, except for 1 week in November every year, sadly. And then Quinn Ewers, 7th-round pick, and Travis Hunter, the most meaningless Heisman in the history of sports. So they 0 for 3.
You know how I knew that you were a sports-only video game player?
How?
Because you have hard opinions on what a cover of a sports game should be. I've never
Put the game in, and I can't play that stupid cover staring at me.
I don't even think I've ever cared about who the cover athlete is.
I printed off a new cover for NCAA 14 because I wouldn't play Denard Robinson.
What?
I downloaded one offline and slid it over because it was Michigan cover.
A couple years ago in MLB The Show, people were mad that Jazz Chisholm was
Yeah.
the cover, and they're like, he's not very good. Why is he on there? I was like, who cares? That guy.
I thought it was really cool when Ellie was on the cover this year. And I'm not even like a big the show guy. Like, you wouldn't care if a Cub got on the cover?
I would love it, but it'd be the most fainting. What's the word I'm looking for? The fleeting feeling that has ever come through. I'd be like, oh, cool. That was the end of my emotion
that's fair.
towards that. Unless it was Michael Bush, because I love Bush.
Sorry, I have no idea that you loved Bush. Michael Bush.
No, that's right.
So there's that. Speaking of video games, one wrinkle to the video games this season for college football is that there will be implementing coaches now on the sidelines. So like Ryan Day's already been highlighted on their national championship winning head coach, Ryan Day, by the way. But there are two of the biggest names in college football from coaching perspective, although Bill Belichick technically has not coached a single down yet in college at this point, but two of the biggest names in college football decided to opt out of the 2025 college football video game. Bill Belichick, North Carolina. His girlfriend apparently didn't sign his permission slip.
Not quite.
And Colorado's Deion Sanders. Surprised that Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders not in the video game. Two guys who like attention.
Not surprised. Bill Belichick was never in a Madden, so I thought it would be a little bit shocking if he got in this one, unless he had to because of deals with the NCAA and EA Sports. So if he had a way to opt out, I certainly expected him to do that in this game. Deion does surprise me a little bit more because that does seem something that's right up his alley.
Yeah.
Get your face out there as much as possible. And then I saw the in-game mock-ups of these coaches. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's not Ryan Day.
I'm not opting into that either if they're going to butcher it that bad. So, yeah, if I'm Deion and they're not going to give me the cowboy hat and the good 3D face scan, I'm not opting into that. So, good for the coaches that did. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It certainly adds a new layer to that game in Dynasty and everything when you can take coordinators and actually go through a path of real coaches and make a career. So, it should be fun, but the two that people are most interested in using won't be in the game, which is certainly a shame.
I would say yes to letting them. If I was a head coach, I'd say yes, you can use my likeness for your video game, but I get creative control over what I look like and how I'd want my person to be in the video game. Is I like in a game where there's 2025 and we have all these beautiful graphics. I want my personal coach to look like PlayStation 1 graphics where it's just like a block and pointy and you can't tell. And it just looks so funny. You go to the sideline and they have all these players rushing around you and you just got like this like Minecraft looking person on the sideline. That's what I'd want.
Their head looks like a stop sign.
Yes.
They went exactly the other way for Madden 26. When it comes out later, you'll be able to customize everything about your coach now. So like a player, you can do polos, quarter zips, Jordans. They'll have a full shoe selection for the coach, everything along those lines. So finally making some kind of customizable features in franchise, which they haven't done since, I think, 2016 made a major change to franchise in Madden. So pretty big news for everyone that plays that.
This year they're doing it? 2016?
It's 10 years.
You know what happened in 2016, right?
Oh, my
You
God.
going Cubs? Maybe.
Thanks, Terry Francona.
Yeah.
He was responsible for that, too.
Yeah. The last 3 times Ohio State's won the national championship, the Panthers have opened week 1 of the season against the Jaguars and made the Super Bowl. All 3 of those years, Jennifer Lawrence also had a divorce.
I saw that graphic too.
Good graphic.
We've talked about it, but Jay Morrison said the last time a new pope was introduced, the Bengals won the division. Both of
That's
those.
right. 2013.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
Oh.
2013.
That's good.
so peace be
And
with you.
2005. Last two times. 05 and 13.
There you go. So, last thing here. After 36 seasons of the NBA on TNT, their run has officially come to an end. The crew of Shaq, Ernie, Kenny, and Chuck did their final farewell from Indianapolis over the weekend. The crew and show will remain intact as it will transition over to ESPN and ABC next season. I have a hot take on this. I think the farewell tour was the most awkward thing in the world because they're not really going anywhere. I mean, we see the Big Ten go from ESPN to Fox. ESPN didn't do a farewell of college football or Big Ten football or Ohio State football. CBS, I think, is really kicking themselves now. But CBS, well, there was a lot of tears, I guess, losing the SEC. But no, like I at first I was pissed about the announcement of them breaking up those four. But they're not breaking them up. They're staying together. The show's just moving to a different network. Just like I didn't cry when Ohio State left the Big Ten left ESPN. I just think this goodbye farewell tour has been very overrated, to be honest with you. I mean, they got championship rings yesterday or on that final show, whatever. I'm a huge fan of the show. I find it just pure comedy gold, to be quite honest with you. I just think the farewell tour aspect of the show was just kind of strange because it's not going anywhere.
Question for you, and I don't know the answer, but it's what I've been thinking about this whole time. Are they going to have post-game?
I don't like any
How
information.
can you have post-game?
Yeah.
Do SVP at midnight after the big games? Are you kicking SVP off of the post-game slot on ESPN?
ESPN Plus.
Are you moving
you paid all that money to put
Shaq
them on
and
Plus?
Ernie to ESPN 2? I mean, you can move Bones at 1 a.m. for post-game. You can't move live sporting events on ESPN. I don't know how this is going to work. The only part of that show that matters is the post-game.
Yeah.
So if they don't give them the window, if they try to change it, if they try to mix it and put some ESPN people on that panel, then they're going to tank the best show in sports, and it's going to be miserable.
ESPN has the absolute worst NBA coverage outside of like a big Brian Windhorst guy.
Except for like 3 years ago when they had great people and they let them all walk for big perk.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Jalen Rose was good. I like Jalen. Who was
Zach Lowe was the best.
Yeah.
I love Zach Lowe.
Either way, they need a Schrager.
Yes.
And for NBA, which I guess they kind of have that with all Wendy, but. All right,
We got some super chats.
Yes, get
Chats
to the super
to
chats.
round out this show. Chase Wellman, who's been a member for 12 months, a nut cutter for 12 months. He says Pacers in 6. Jacob, your thoughts?
I'm in. I'm in.
Good thoughts.
are you in? Do you agree?
I have
That
bet.
is what you want, but do you agree?
I have bet Pacers plus 550 to win the series.
Okay.
Thunder in 6 and Thunder in 7. So
That's called
I'm gonna
hedging.
split it up a
That's
little
called
bit.
hedging. So there you go. But next one.
Blackmore, who's been a nut cutter for 17 months, love you, Blackmore, says Mouse Cop is not woke. Thoughts, Kenner?
Did I say something that alluded otherwise?
No, just wanted to know your thoughts on that chat.
I've learned my lesson. I don't deal with Mouse Cop anymore. Every time if I say anything about him, I get in trouble. So I'm just staying out.
I think I'm woke on this chat, and that Mouse Cop is, in fact,
Do you love Bush,
woke. I do.
George?
George woke? Was George Bush woke? All right. Colin Will, member for 11 months, nut cutter for 11 months,
What
says,
up, Colin?
the NFL season can't get here soon enough.
Yeah.
I'll be saying the same thing about baseball season after the Bengals underperform and miss the playoffs again. The never-ending cycle of a Cincinnati sports fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just
Yeah.
points in time where you can actually be in the season and have optimism until that goes away about week 4 or month 3.
See, I'm not even like unrealistic. I've always said I'm not even trying to be extra with this and say I want the Reds to be a World Series contender. I just want them to be interesting until July, end of July. Into August, so that like just hand us off to the Bengals. That's all you have to do. That's your only job. Terry Francona, you don't have to, go up against. You don't have to get him to the World Series. Hell, I'm not even asking to get to the championship series. Just get to July. Be interesting in July. You're 8.5 back as we sit here in early June, and it's only going to get worse, especially after this damn month schedule. But we're being positive. So what if they get hot? Was the question today? But yeah,
It is hilarious that the bar for a very, like I'm not like doing a
Did you
bit
say
here, a very proud fan base, the Cincinnati Reds are a proud fan base, a proud franchise, that the bar is currently set at, can you entertain us until we can watch the less proud franchise in town, the Cincinnati Bengals, start playing. Like, can you entertain us until Joe Burrow gets to play football again?
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a decade. Plus, it's been that way for a long time.
It doesn't really seem like it's too much to ask.
No.
It doesn't seem like it's too much to ask, and they just won't do it.
They did it in 23. They did it in 19.
Yeah.
I guess they did it in 2020, even though
No,
the
they didn't.
baseball season started in July. But so they did it 3 out of the last 15 years. So shout out them.
Now, I will say, if they're not going to win the World Series, they better not go out there and win like 110 games and price me out of going to the stadium. If they're going to win a World Series, that's great. If you're going to, keep doing what you're doing, don't price me out of the stadium.
Did John Sadak curse this team when he screamed the Reds have the tiebreaker over the Cubs? The worst call in professional sports in the last however many years.
I think you and Elliot are the only 2 people that remember that call.
I do, because it was against the Cubs. It was a Nick Martini walk-off. And it's just, what?
Martini.
What? They walk off a game and you yell, they have the tiebreaker.
Well,
which, by the way, they
did they?
didn't. That's the thing, is they didn't have the tiebreaker because, as we all know, the first tiebreaker is who has the better record, and the Cubs had the better record at the end of the year.
Well, that's not a tiebreaker. You can't be tied if you have the same record.
I'm just saying. The first tiebreaker is who has the better record. If you look at the rules, who determines who is higher in the standings? The first one is who has the better record.
Not a tiebreaker, though. It determines
The
who's
first
higher.
one, it says who has the better
In
record.
order for there to be a tiebreaker, there has to be a tie, Reed.
It says the first thing is who finishes higher in the standings is who has the better record.
They weren't tied.
It's the first thing it says.
The record
Are you
tied.
are you arguing with me about what the first thing says?
The record is not a tie.
This is a definition show. Define tie.
This is way more petty than his video game cover take.
It's the first thing it says.
All right, I'm ending it.
Yeah. With that, Reed loves Bush. Until tomorrow.
And
off the
birds are
bench.
cut.